Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a sad girl book recs. These are going to be all of the books that have made me tear up, cry, most of them, at least the ones that I remember. I am not that big of a crier when it comes to books, so these are all the ones that I remember crying to. And when I say crying, some of them I was like bawling, other ones I was just kind of like tears in my eyes slowly rolling down my face, but not like you know what I mean? Like I wasn't like dying, but like I did cry. This video is also a collab video with me and a bunch of other booktubers that I will try and link down below in the description box. This was brought to my attention by Bex Reads on Instagram. She asked me if I wanted to participate. I honestly didn't know if I was going to be able to, but as you can see, I'm sitting down here to film this video. I didn't know if I really qualified because I'm not much of a crier, like I said, but this is my first collab video and I really wanted to do it. I also have a couple of other book recs that I know other people say are sad. I personally haven't read them, but I figured I would give you guys a little bit more of recommendations just in case my book recs aren't that sad. I feel like everybody cries at different things and their emotional capacity is different for everybody. So here are my recs and thank you so much to Bex Reads for thinking of me, and let's just get right into it. Okay, so I did make a rec list, and starting off I have kind of a stack here. So first book that I have on here is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. This is actually a recent read for me. I will leave the link to the reading vlog that I read this book in. I actually don't cry in that reading vlog, but I did cry for this book at least in the first 5 chapters. I was reading it on my Kindle and I was laying down in bed and I was just tearing up and I was crying because I felt the emotion in just the first 5 chapters of this book. I didn't cry anywhere else in the book, even though it does get darker throughout it, but the beginning was the most heartbreaking for me, and then the rest of it I was just eating the romance up. But if you don't know already, this is an MMF romance. We have our heroine Bennett, and then our 2 heroes are Priest and Lord Ashley Cutler. This is a whirlwind of a book. Bennett loses her parents really young. She goes through a lot in the beginning. She is actually the captain of a ship that her father left behind for her, and he also left behind a compass pocket watch for her that she would need to like figure out the riddle. That way she could find the treasure that her father left behind for her. And so she's just been living her life like this when she does end up falling in love with a priest and actually marrying him. But we fast forward a couple of years and we see that they are no longer together. They are still married, but priest does something that betrays Bennett, and it is just so good the way that priest and Bennett kind of fight for their love, and then also having them be even separated for a lot more time, where Bennett ends up meeting Lord Ashley Cutler. This goes into Captor Captive. It is definitely a dark romance. Please read trigger warnings. Pam Godwin's writing is absolutely beautiful. I definitely recommend it. She really pulls at the heartstrings, especially for me at the beginning of the book. Then I have Only When It's Us by Chloe Liese. This one is about our heroine. I can't remember their names for the life of me. We have our heroine. She is actually a soccer player and she needs to get the notes from a classmate in her class, and this is our hero. She asked him for the notes and he completely ignores her, which then later we find out that he is actually hard of hearing and he actually really didn't hear her. He wasn't ignoring her, but she assumes that he was, so she's kind of mad at him and doesn't really like him because she thinks that he's making her life a living hell. The reason why this book made me tear up slash cry is because I want to say tear up and not cry because I didn't cry, but like this one with Chloe Liese's writing, it also pulls at your heartstrings, and I think the whole plot for this one, it does have to do with cancer, so trigger warnings for that. Our heroine's mom is going through that, and I think that whole interaction, the way that we see how our heroine is feeling feeling, how she acts around her mom and how she has put her mom above everything else, and how she's scared, you know, to lose her mom, but it's also like inevitable in the book, and you know that, and we're just kind of going through the motions, and it's very heartbreaking, while she's also like falling in love with our hero, but she has this home life, and it all kind of connects. And there's beautiful moments in here with our hero and our heroine's mom, and with our hero and our heroine, and how the hero is there for her. But for me, I just really felt the mother-daughter connection, because I am so close to my mom. She is my best friend, and to just even think or imagine my mom going through something like that, or just in general me losing my mom, like, it hurts my heart. So that part in the book really made me tear up, so I really felt it. But yeah, I really like that one. I gave it 4.5 stars, rounded it up to a 5, I believe, on Goodreads, or 4.5, rounded it down to a 4. I can't remember, but it's really high up there. I loved that book. Now, for an oldie but a goodie, I haven't read this book in like forever, like 2-3 years. This is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I remember where I was when I read this. I remember how I felt when I read this, and I remember crying when I read this. Obviously, this is the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series, so you can't just jump into this one, but this one will make you cry. If you get to this one, it will make you tear up, at least, you know. I remember I was at my boyfriend's old place, and I was sitting on his couch while he was playing his video games, and I literally binged this book. I was flying through it, and I just remember reading this. I was reading this while tears fell down my face, and I was just like, I can already feel it now just thinking about it, but it was so good. Basically, the ACOTAR series, if you don't already know, we have our heroine Farah, and we have her in this situation with her sisters and her father, where they are living in poverty, and Farah is really the provider of the family, and she is not really treated well. She is out hunting one time, and she kills a wolf that was not really a wolf, it was a fae, and now she has to pay a debt, and she has to cross over to the fairylands, and it has this Beauty and the Beast sort of retelling. The first book is not everybody's favorite, but I think when I think about that book, I think about the series overall, so I think 5 stars when I think about ACOTAR. But I'm pretty sure when I first read it, I gave it 4 stars because it wasn't my favorite, but that last 200 pages, oh, I ate it up. And once you get into Akomath, A Court of Mist and Fury, there's no going back. But yeah, this is the one that made me tear up in that series. It was so good. This is where obviously we get the overall war, and it is so good, you guys. If you've been thinking about reading ACOTAR, I think you should, and I think you need to be in the right headspace for a fantasy read like this, and I think that you should binge it, because that's what I did. Obviously, I gave that 5 stars. All the books in the ACOTAR series are 5 stars for me. But then I have After the Fall by Giana Darling. I remember reading this. This is actually, the 4th book in the Fallen Men MC series by Giana Darling. But that one is about King and Cressida, the same couple from the first book of the Fallen Men series. The reason why I cried in this book, I can't say because it would ruin the entirety of the book, but I was just not expecting it. I wasn't expecting it, and just the overall feeling that Giana Darling provides in her writing is just, it was heartbreaking, especially being in the perspective that we were in, and it's just the way that it happened, everything that happened. I remember I was laying down and I was reading it, and I just remember sobbing. I also remember taking a picture, but I don't even think I have that picture anymore, but like I was like sobbing, but I was crying. I was not expecting it. Overall, at the end though, it wraps up very nicely. I know it's a book that not everybody loves, and it's not my favorite in the series, but I get why it's in the series, and I love Giana Darling, so I love that book. So then I have The Christmas Blanket by Kandi Steiner. If you know, you know. I did read this. This is actually a novella. This is the only novella ever that has ever made me cry. I don't know what it was about it. Maybe I was close to getting my period or something. I was just very emotional that day. But like, this is also a marriage in trouble, and just the feeling that Kandi Steiner was able to just project through this, and just knowing the love between our hero and our heroine, I just felt it, and I was like sobbing because our hero had gone through so much, but he had put the heroine first, and that was the part that really hit home for me. And I cried. I don't know how else to tell you, but like I cried just because I felt it. But this one, like I said, is a marriage in trouble. Our heroine is actually on a road trip back to her parents in this small town for Christmas. She actually gets like ran off the road into a ditch, and it's right in front of the hero's, her ex-husband's cottage house, and he actually goes and helps her, and she's like, of course it's him. And then now she's snowed in the cabin, and they kind of have to rehash their relationship and why it ended. There is a dog, and there is just so much emotion, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. A novella that I gave 5 stars. A rarity. So that one was a really good one. Then I have Quick to the Hunt by Dane. I did talk about this one not that long ago, where I did mention that it made me cry. This one I read years ago, like not 2 years, not 3, not 4, probably 5 years ago. This is an romance. One of our heroes is struggling hardcore with PTSD. Check trigger warnings for this one. There is self-harm. There is just so much pain in this book, and I remember crying to this book. I will never forget this book, and it is just so deeply in my brain that yeah, I will forget about the book, but like whenever I think about books that made me cry, this is one of the ones that I think about. Like I said, it's a beautiful story. I mean, I remember loving it, so I don't think I ever rated it when I read it because I wasn't rating books back then, and I do want to reread it. But again, like I said, it's very heartbreaking. Please check trigger warnings. This one is very, I don't want to say it's dark, but it's very emotional and very heartbreaking. And if you're looking for an romance, so that's going to give you the angst, Quick to the Hunt by Dane is the one for you. Next up, I have Archer's Voice by Sheridan. I actually teared up when I read this one because I had thought something had happened at the end. Like Sheridan kind of like said it, but she didn't say it, and I just assumed, and I was like, there's no way. I was in shock. I was like, there's no way. I could feel the tears building in my eyes and falling, me thinking that this was happening, and I was low-key triggered because I was like, there's no way. This has to have an HEA, which it does, but I didn't know at the time. And I just remember just feeling so heartbroken, just feeling this like injustice to our characters, and like Archer just needs to be protected at all costs. I do know that a lot of people say this one is very emotional for them and it has made them cry. When I picked this book up, I did not think that it was gonna make me cry despite what everybody said, but towards the end there, I did shed a few tears. But if you don't know already, this is Archer's Voice. This is about Archer and Bree, I believe. Bree moves into this small town after losing her father. She quickly kind of becomes aware of Archer. Archer is mute, and he's kind of like the recluse of this town. He's also been through so much, and they just kind of form this connection and this friendship first. Then it becomes into a relationship, and just Archer is Archer. It's so good. The way that the relationship goes and how they grow together, they want the best for each other, is just an absolutely beautiful book, and I can't recommend it enough. When you think of a good boy, you think of Archer, and like I said, he needs to be protected at all costs. But let's dive in to the extras that I have for you. I do own Pack Up the Moon by Kristin Higgins. I do hear this one is a sad book. I do want to do kind of like a sad girl reading vlog, but this might be one of the books that I read in there, just because I'm also trying to get my physical TBR down, and since this is on my physical TBR, since I physically own it, I want to read it. But I did see the books I've loved. She was reading this and she was posting her reactions on IG, and she was bawling, and I already know this is sad because this has to do with our hero reading letters from losing his wife. I just love letters in books, and I know I'm gonna cry. I already know because it's very emotional. I've been putting it off for that exact reason. So there's that. If you haven't read it, I haven't read it, but I know it's sad and it sounds sad. Next one that I actually own, which is actually a recent buy for me, I have The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. I also saw the books I've loved reading this, and she posted on her IG that she was crying. And I was like, I'm sold. I want to cry too, but like I'm scared to cry. So I never pick the books up, but like I do want to cry. I feel like I'm in need for, sorry for the lighting change. My light literally just died. Hopefully it's not too bad. I'm gonna finish this video. I feel like I'm in need of a good cry, and this one sounds right in my alley. And it's also a letter book. Look, why are all the sad books about letters? I honestly don't know anything about this one. I'm guessing it has to do with like the military because there's like dog tags on the cover. I kind of don't want to know anything about it, but I know that it's sad, and I kind of just want to go in blind because I feel like I'll get even more into it that way. So those are all the books that I have here to recommend to you guys. I know everybody else that did this video, I will have it linked down below. Hopefully if I can get everybody's video links, I will definitely leave it down below in the description box. I know they have so many other sad girl book recs, so make sure you guys check that down below. Thank you again to Bexy Reads for considering me for this video. I had so much fun filming it, and it's very much getting me in the mood to read all these sad girl books. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and comment some tear emojis or maybe some flowers because of the April showers bring May flowers. I'm pretty sure that's like the whole theme of this video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one.